It is a Sunday afternoon and everything, and there's been something that I've been doing a lot lately. I've actually been binge watching, thanks to Netflix, That 70s Show. I don't know for you guys that may be watching this if you ever watched That 70s Show or you really got into it when you were a kid and everything like that. It started around the same period that I was a teenager myself. So before I get too far ahead of it, a little backstory on what That 70s Show is. It actually follows the story of a kid called Eric Foreman and his friends who all sort of hang out in the basement of Foreman's parents' house. It stars Topher Grace and I think her name's Laura something. She's in Orange is the New Black now. Probably should have researched that. Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis, the guy that plays Stephen Hyde, who I can never remember the name of unfortunately, and Wilder Valderrama, who I don't think did anything else since he did that character Fez, and it honestly sounds weird that when he doesn't do the Fez voice, I'm sure he hates that, to be honest. In this show and everything like that, it was about these teenagers growing up in the 70s and actually coming through their entire sort of adolescence and graduating high school and looking at colleges and all that sort of stuff. So it was very atypical sort of storytelling element of teenagers going into college and that whole thing. But this thing managed to stretch for 8 seasons. I'm currently up to season 6, so we're almost there. But they're just at the point now where they're graduating out of college. But anyway, the whole point of this is that I grew up with these characters in the exact same age brackets as they were in. So I resonated very strongly with those particular characters. And being kind of a skinny, I mean I'm not skinny anymore, but being kind of a skinny little weird nerd that I was in high school, the Eric Foreman character who became kind of the obsessed Star Wars geek, didn't really seem to have any major skill sets or properties or anything to him that made him very special. He was just a very average kind of teenager. When I sort of watched this and grew up with this character, I really resonated with me. And what I found looking at this series now is that there was truly a different way that television was kind of done back then. They were situational comedies that weren't afraid to have a bit of heart drop into them. And you had things like Friends, you had Seinfeld, yeah, That 70s Show is probably the closest relevant thing to it now would maybe be Big Bang Theory, but that is genuinely hard to watch.
Hey, Sheldon.
Hello.
Doing laundry?
Its main protagonist is an average every kid that anyone can sort of mirror themselves onto. But at the same time, the show itself is kind of an average everyman kind of role for every single character that's in it that anyone could mirror themselves onto. An ensemble casts in a sitcom to last for 8 seasons in a moderner time era, I think is a tremendous achievement. And I guess what I'm sort of saying is that I really loved That 70s Show. It's a tremendous watch at the moment. And if you have it on, it's on Australian Netflix at the moment because I am Australian. So I get Australian Netflix. If you haven't watched it, if you've never watched it before, if you're a young teenager now who doesn't really have that kind of show that you can really resonate with, that deals with those issues of first loves and getting married too young and pregnancy scares and getting kicked out of school and getting back into school and having an overbearing parent and having an overloving mother and crazy neighbors next door, being in love with a neighbor girl, like all these sort of things that they deal with throughout the entire series are just these like atypical teenager things that exist. And it's really great to see that represented, and I don't know shows these days that can represent that sort of adolescence. It's almost as if people don't believe that shows representing a true adolescence like that can exist without specifically having to put a werewolf or a vampire in it. And I believe a lot of stuff is really kind of lazy writing and a lazy paint by numbers in terms of its development, and something like That 70s Show was really a tremendous feat for what it was. And that's just coming from one 32-year-old guy who was born in '84 who doesn't really know the entire grand scope of everything that's ever been on television, but just from a personal opinion, That 70s Show is a tremendous show and well worth the watch. But anyway, this is done now, so I'm going to round it up. If you liked what you saw, please put a comment down below. If not, don't say anything, because I'm fragile, you know. Anyway, this thing was just a off-the-cuff sort of thing. I'm so sorry it happened. You know what? Just, yeah, no.